What's happening, everybody? Biker Dave here, doing some household repairs today. If you have one of these Lasko Tower Fans, Windcurve is the model, one of these Ion whatever fans, or any tower fan for that matter, or actually any home fan you can imagine. If yours is just not efficient anymore, is not blowing air like it used to, but it's still coming on like it should. I know a lot of people just throw them away and go get a new one, which, I guess you could do that. But if you would rather salvage yours and make it efficient again, a couple things you'll need, and I know some of you may not have these things, but if you do, it's helpful if you have an air compressor or a shop vac, or any kind of vacuum cleaner attachment. You'll also need, for this particular model, you'll need Phillips head screwdriver. You can use a drill on some of them, but you'll have to use a regular medium Phillips on most of the screws. And I don't know why, but they put just two T15 Torx screws, which was kind of ridiculous. Why didn't they just do all of them Phillips? And it's not that difficult. We're going to take it apart basically and clean the blades of the fan inside there. And I've already taken part of it apart, but with your Phillips, there's tons of little screws all the way down. Just keep looking for them on both sides. Those two little Torx T15s will be right there. Ridiculous. And then more Phillips down below. So basically every Phillips you can find all the way up the back. And then we'll lay it on its side. Lay it on its side. And there's a few more Phillips right through here. It's just these four on the corners. Take those off and the platform will come off. Oh, and something else that might be handy is a little magnet, a mechanic's magnet, because some of these screws are kind of tucked into these holes pretty deep. So once you loosen them, you might need a little small magnet just to pull them out of there. Or you can just tip it over on its other side and those screws will fall right out. Alright, once you remove these bottom screws, this platform comes down. And then you can kind of work it down where this will, you don't have to take it all the way off. But once all this is off and every screw is loose, then you can remove this lid off of the back and you'll expose the fan blade underneath. Alright, and you notice it's like a clamshell kind of, how that back comes off of it. You might have to wiggle it off a little bit and make sure all the screws have been removed. Otherwise you'll break it when you try to remove it. And mine is not too bad, but if yours is built up with a lot of lint and whatnot on the turbine here, you will need to clean this off with your shop vac and with compressed air, and maybe wipe it, with a damp cloth after that. But just clean all of this blade section thoroughly, and you might as well clean all of it, so you just take your shop vac and just, clean everything out inside this whole region. And on this back little shield as well, just clean it all very thoroughly. And especially if you have pets in the home, this can get really built up quickly. So you may have to do this annually depending on your needs. But just watch how bad it is. And mine's doesn't look that dirty either, but just have a look at this. Pretty nasty. You may want to put a mask on also, if you're allergic to dander and whatnot. And just clean all this out very thoroughly, and then you can get your vacuum cleaner. You can use any vacuum you want, but a little shop vac is handy to have. I use this for all kinds of things. do it a little. And another thing you can do is remove this shield here. So it's just 4 Phillips head screws that I've already removed right through here. Then you can pull this off. Just do it carefully because there's wiring underneath it there. And you'll need to clean that as well. Notice it's pretty nasty. And I don't even have any pets, you know, so yours might be even worse than this. So clean all that out with a brush and compressed air and your shop vac and a rag, and just clean it thoroughly. And then put it back together. Make sure you don't pinch any wires, and make sure that this item is unplugged when you do all this as well. I shouldn't have to say that, but you know how it is. And once you remove this shield, look underneath there. There's still a bunch of crap that needs to be dealt with. Just brush it out, vacuum it out, blow it out, get rid of it however you can. Every bit of this needs to be dealt with. Now, something else you can do is take a brush. Take a brush and clean out these bristles, the fan blades in here, because some of this may not come out easily. So, just do some decent brushing all through here. The same with the backside shield. You can clean this out, you can rinse it out even, do a lot of brushing and wiping, because the lint debris can build up on this as well. So now I wouldn't want to spray any cleaner. Now you could spray like a light simple green cleaner or something just on the fan blade, while you're brushing like this, and then dry it off thoroughly when you're done. And the goal is to try to make it look new again on the inside. All right, and if you want to carry this even further, you can remove the entire fan assembly. It's just Phillips head screws. First, you'll need to remove this little motor, little power pack here. It's just Phillips heads pointing down right there. Get that out of the way so you can remove more Phillips that are back in here, as well as Phillips right there. And then just lift it out of here. Then you can get even further underneath and clean it even more. It's like it never ends. This whole thing thoroughly comes apart, and then you can really go to town on it. And I know that's maybe more than a lot of people would like to do, but if you're into handy stuff and you want to impress your mate or whatever and show them how talented you are, that's how you can really get rid of every bit of debris on the thing. Okay, when you're putting it back together, there are only a couple of screws that are different from all the rest. You got these two that hold the fan assembly in place. They have a tiny little washer on the end, so that's how you'll know those two are different. You go there and there. And make sure you have this little power supply off. Otherwise, you can't really reach those screws there. So these two screws here, take those off. This will lift off. Then you can put those screws back in. And for the guard, same little Phillips head screws. Basically, these little guys right here are for pretty much everything on this fan, except for those two there and the 4 that hold on the platform at the bottom. Those are more like, see the different style here. So the difference in type. So that's the only difference really. And then the rest of it's pretty self-explanatory to put it back on. So once you're sure that you've cleaned everything to your liking, the fan assembly goes back on. This guard goes back on with those 4 screws. Two screws here. 2 screws hold this little electric motor in place. And another thing to note, if you're checking all the screws, be careful with it, because this is a plastic piece and you don't want to over tighten anything because you'll crack the housing easily. So just check them lightly, just to make sure they're not about to fall off. Okay, same thing with this. You may need to clean this off thoroughly. So you can wipe it down, with some Simple Green or some soapy water or something. So I just sprayed a little bit of Simple Green on this rear guard here, and then you just wipe it with a towel. Make sure you get all the dust and debris out of this region. Both sides, basically, inside and out. You want to wipe all this down. And make it look new and pretty again. Alright, then we'll put the rear guard back on. Just lay it down nice and flat. You know, you may want to wiggle it a little bit to make sure that it feels like it's in place properly. You don't want it to be all weird and cocked sideways. So a little bit of wiggling, maybe a little bumping on it, you know, just to make sure it feels like it's in place properly. It should snap back in place pretty well before you put the screws back in. Okay, and then once you're happy with that, start with your, you can just sort of lay the screws in. And remember, the only two unique screws are the little Torx guys. You got two little T15 Torx that go here. All the rest are the same little Phillips heads. They go all the way around the perimeter, all throughout this region here. So we'll put those on now. And make sure that this lip slides underneath right there. That way it'll sit nice and flat all the way down. You know, make sure that it looks, everything is nice and flush before you even put the screws back in. It should sit nice and flat. All right, and now that you're putting all your screws back in, you know, make sure that you just tighten them gently at first, you know, so the whole thing can be tightened down evenly. You don't want to go cranking down on one at a time really hard, you know, you just want to do them gently. And just work your way all the way around. And then the stupid T15s that are right here, makes no sense. And once again, you don't want to over tighten these because this whole housing is just plastic, you know, so just do it gently firm, I would call it. Okay, and these are kind of, they'll hide from you along the side here. They're hard to see, especially if you've got the fan standing up. That's why I like to keep the fan laying down while I'm doing all this work. Nice and gentle. There we go. Okay, now we'll put the base back on. This guy right here. Just line up this little screw holes. You'll see them right there. These are the only screws that are different, you know, from the rest. So make sure you keep those four separated. Just do one very gently tight. Then go opposite of the first one you put in. And you know, if you've got a drill, you can go faster. Just be real careful. Be real careful using an impact or drill when you're dealing with plastic items, you know, because it'll crack the stuff in a heartbeat. There you go. Then tighten them down. Gently but firmly. like so. And then the final two are on the very bottom here, just to hold the base kind of flattened in place. Gently. And make sure everybody's nice and snug. All right, now the moment of truth. Plug her back in. Hit your button. There she goes. Test everything, make sure it still rotates like it should. What you'll notice that the fan is probably not as loud as it was, but its efficiency is better than it was. Because when you get all that debris on the blades, it'll be like, you know, it'll be more whistly, where this is just more flowy. This is a good fan. We've had this for a few years now, and we sleep with a fan at night. It just, you know, the wind noise is nice, the white noise, and but it's just a fact of life. You know, every few years you might have to clean it out, give it a little maintenance, a little service, a little tune-up, and it'll be good as new again. You know, instead of selling it or throwing it away, going to get another one. You know, these good tower fans are, they're not cheap. So if you can keep some maintenance up on them every so often, they'll last a lot longer. And you'll feel like you accomplished something. That's always good. And it's always nice to feel like you accomplished something, you know, in your day. That's what I try to do as much as possible. That's why we have all the tools and the toolboxes, you know. That's why a lot of people like to work on things, because you feel accomplished when you finish. And yeah, doing great. So anyway, yeah, check out other videos on this channel. We got all kinds of stuff on fixing things around the house: motorcycles, cars, dirt bikes, Harley Davidsons, Yamahas, cars, you know, Pontiac Trans Am, Ford Taurus X, Chevy trucks, Mustangs, all kinds of cool stuff on a channel. So, you know, we do more than just household items. And so check it out. And make sure you Google Horsepower House. We're all over the internet, including eBay, Amazon, 2 YouTube channels. And, you know, so check it out. And we appreciate you stopping by. Dave signing off. Y'all have a great day, and happy wrenching.